Hello everyone. I hope all of you are fine. So today we shall discuss about the various population forecasting method. So in the previous sessions we have discussed about per capita demand, then water demand for various demands like industrial demand, domestic demand, fire demand, and what are their approximate values, and what are the factors which affects these demands, and what is meant by annual average demand, maximum daily demand, peak demand, so which are all needed for the estimation of quantity for the design of water supply schemes. And today we shall discuss about the population forecasting method. Okay, so what is actually population forecasting? Okay, it is the calculation or prediction of some future events as a result of study and analysis of available records or data. That is called as population forecasting. That means, in the previous sessions we have discussed that water supply systems and schemes are usually designed for a future period of usually 3 to 4 decades or 30 to 40 years. So accordingly we have to design the water supply schemes for a future period of 30 to 40 years. So considering the present population as of now, that is now if you take the example, it is the year 2021. Okay, so taking the present population of the year 2021, so we'll try to estimate the future population of 3 to 4 decades. For example, 2021 is the present population, so we will try to estimate the population for 2051, that is after 3 decades what will be the population. So that is called as population forecasting. So we have to design the water supply schemes and water treatment units and all for a future period. Okay, so for that we have various population forecasting methods listed here. Okay, so first one is called as arithmetic increase method, second one geometric increase method, incremental increase method, decreasing rate of growth method, graphical extension method, graphical comparison method, zoning or master plan method, ratio and correlation method, growth composition analysis method, and logistic curve method. Okay, so these are different methods of population prediction. Okay, so each method has its own advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so the population growth for a city, town, village, urban area, rural area, and it differs. Okay, like you might have also observed, okay, the population growth in semi-urban and rural areas is quite less. Okay, so whereas the population in urban areas is little bit more. Okay, and whereas the population growth in metro cities is very rapid, and it is it does not follow a particular growth pattern. Okay, so that is because of various socio-economical reasons. Okay, and now let us see in detail what are the factors which affects the population growth. Okay, so the factors which affects are the increase in the births. Okay, so what happens due to the continuous increase in the births, the population it starts to increase, and also the population tends to decrease due to the number of deaths, and also increase or decrease due to migration. See, all those things happen for a particular city or a region. That is, for example, if you take people move to bigger cities and major metro cities for the search of jobs, so that is due to the migration. And also if there is any pandemic or if there is any disease outbreak, again people starts to migrate back to their places. Okay, so this kind of changes happen. So not only due to the pandemic and all, so in some cases due to the changes in geographical locations, or some due to changes or due to the wars, or due to the occurrence of floods or any natural reasons, so people tend to migrate. Okay, and also as you know, the birth and deaths are quite natural. Okay, if there are more number of people residing in a particular area, so there will be more number of births. Okay, and also there will be more number of deaths which is going to happen. Okay, so all these things should be taken into consideration for before predicting the future population using different methods. Okay, what are the factors affecting population growth. Okay, what actually happens due to the for the contribution of more population growth. So first one is economic factors. Okay, so if there are new industries or discovery of oil or minerals, okay, it is natural that people tend to move due to the economic reasons, that is to improve their life, to get more income, to increase their standard of living. So people tend to migrate. And also due to the development programs, okay, of national importance like river valley projects, that is for most of the activities, like we need water. Okay, if there is any multi-purpose river valley project or power generation projects, or any national importance project like water resource project, multi-purpose river valley project, in that case we there will be development. So because of that also the population will increase. And social facilities, okay, people tend to migrate to also because of the educational, medical and recreational facilities. Like you might have seen some places are important for educational needs. Okay, people tend to migrate because of their children's good education, and also due to the better medical facilities. Okay, then communication links, so connectivity with the major cities, the markets, the agricultural products, then the better connectivity by roads and other rail networks. Okay, so for all these reasons people tend to migrate and contribute for the population growth. And also because of the tourism facilities and religious festivals and historical buildings, people tend to migrate for they look for better tourist facilities. Then they also migrate because of the religious places, like you might have seen many people go for pilgrimage for the historical importance places and all. Okay, then community life, so better living habits, social customs and general education in the community. And also due to the unforeseen natural reasons and natural factors, so and because of the earthquakes, floods and epidemics and pandemics and frequent famines, due to the drought and other reasons, people tend to migrate. So all these things affects the population growth. Okay, so let us in detail discuss the different methods. So first one is arithmetical increase method. So this method is based on the assumption that the rate of change of population is constant with respect to time. Okay, so this method is suitable for large and old cities with considerable development, and it is also used for small, average or comparatively new cities. It will give lower population estimates than the actual value. In this method, the average increase in population per decade is calculated from the past census report. So this increase is added to the present population to find out the population of the next decade. Okay, and in this method the rate of change of population, that is dp by dt is taken as constant with respect to time, and the constant increase is added to the previous population. So therefore the population after nth decade will be Pn is equal to P plus N into C. Here Pn is the population after n decades. It could be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years or 40 years. So one decade is equal to 10 years, and P is the present population. Okay, so this is the empirical relationship which is used to predict the population using arithmetic increase method. Okay, so next we have geometrical increase method. It is also called as geometrical progression method. So in this method the percentage increase in population from decade to decade is assumed to remain constant. Okay, so geometrical increase, mean increase is used to find out the future increment in the population. Okay, so usually this method will give higher values, and it should be applied for new industrial town at the beginning of the development for only few decades. So the relationship used is Pn is equal to P into 1 plus Ig divided by 100 whole to the power of n, where Ig is equal to geometrical mean in percentage, and P is the present population, and n is the number of decades. Okay, so this is the equation used to predict the population using geometrical increase method. Similarly, we have incremental increase method. Okay, so this method is suitable for an average size town under normal conditions where the growth rate is found to be in increasing order. So increase in increment is considered for calculating future population. The incremental increase is determined for each decade from the past population, and average value is added to the present population along with the average rate of increase. Okay, so that's why it is called as incremental increase method. Okay, so according to this method, the population after nth decade is given by Pn is equal to P plus n into x plus n into n plus 1 divided by 2 into capital Y, where Pn is equal to population after nth decade, x is equal to average increase, and y is incremental increase. Here both average increase and incremental increase is taken into account for the prediction of the population. Next we have graphical method. Okay, so this method is suitable for the cities so which have the constant growth pattern. Okay, so here the population of the few decades is plotted on the x-axis and population growth on the x-axis. X-axis will give you the incremental increase in the population over the years, and y is the population in numbers. Okay, so here the what happens is the population is plotted, and the future, to predict the future population, so the curve will be extended smoothly for getting future population. So this method is used for the predicting population by comparing with the previous population. So here you can see clearly. So here the population from 1931 to 2011 is plotted. So this is time on the x-axis, and P is the population in thousand on the y-axis. Okay, so here, so based on the data obtained from the census, we have the population up to 1991. So that is around 70 plus thousands. Okay, so here what happened is, so by using this method, the design period is after 2 decades, that is 20 years. The curve is smoothly extended in this area. Okay, so based on the previous population growth. Okay, so this is called as the population growth graphical method. Okay, so the curve is smoothly extended. So similar to that, we have one more method called as comparative graphical method. So in this method, the census of the populations of already developed cities are plotted, okay, under similar conditions. Okay, the curve of the past population of the city under consideration is plotted on the same graph. That means we will plot the 3 to 4 predicted populations of different cities in the same graph, and the population for which the city is to be estimated is also plot. Okay, so by comparing with the growth patterns of the 3 to 4 different cities, the population of the unknown city can be estimated. Okay, so and this can be usually done in case if there is absence of the census data for a particular town or a city. Okay, so here you can see the different cities population, that is A, B, C, D, E are the different cities. Let us say if you take Karnataka as a region, so then this can be a population of different cities like Davangere, Mysore, Bangalore, then Kalburgi or any other, Hubli, Dharwad, something like that. Okay, so based on that, so here the population for a city A is unknown, so D, E, C, B are known. Okay, so accordingly the curve is extended for predicting the population for a unknown city, okay, by comparing with the population of the other cities. That's why it is called as comparative graphical method of population estimation. Okay, so next method is called as master plan method. Okay, so like you might have seen in bigger metro cities, the area is developed based on the master plan method. Okay, So they are not generally developed in the FSR manner, but they are actually planned and regulated by the town planning authorities or local bodies according to the master plan. So the master plan will be prepared for the next 25 to 30 years for the city. According to this master plan, the city is divided into various zones such as residential zone, okay, commercial zone, industrial zone, okay. The population densities are fixed for various zones in the master plan. From this population density, the total water demand and wastewater generation for that zone can be worked out. By this method, it is very easy to assess precisely the design population, because we divide the cities into various zones. That is, residential zone is conforming only to the residential areas. That means only there will be residences which is occupied by the people. That is, it is a complete residential area. Then next zone we have a commercial zone, so which includes the commerce activities like markets and other commercial establishments. And we have another zone called as industrial zone, so wherein most of the industries will be located. If you take the example of Davangere as a city, so you see the residential areas, and also you see the commercial areas, that is marketplaces, and also you see some of the industrial areas. Okay, so likewise the city is divided into various zones, and that method is called as the master plan method for population prediction. So then we have one more method called as logistic curve method. Okay, so here in this method, the growth of population due to births, deaths and migration will also be taken into consideration. Okay, so this will give you a relatively a better population prediction, because it will also take the consideration of births, deaths as well as the movement of the people. Okay, and with also the consideration of the economic and other activities. Okay, so here if the population of the city is plotted with respect to time, the curve so obtained under normal conditions look like X-shaped curve. It is also called as logistic curve. So here you can see this is the time and this is the population. Here if you plot the graph, okay, so it will appear somewhat in the S-shaped curve. That is called as logistic curve. Okay, this method takes the shape of an S curve, so that's why it is also called as logistic curve method. So here, so you can see this is called as the point of inflection, that is where the dp by dp is equal to dp by dt is constant, that is rate of growth of population will be constant at this point. That point is called as the point of inflection. So it is given by P is equal to PS divided by 1 plus PS minus P naught divided by P naught into log E minus K PS into T. So where the PS and PM and N are given in this table. So here the P naught means population of the city at the start point J. So P is the, so this is the J is the starting point here. P is the population at any time T from the origin T. Okay, so this is the origin. So the population at any point on this curve is called as the P, and K is the constant and T is the time in the year. So using this different equations, we can predict the population using the logistic curve method. Okay, so there is also called as decreasing rate growth method or logistic curve method. So this we have studied. So it takes the S-shaped curve. Okay, so once you solve any example on this, so you will understand the usage of the method properly. Okay, so zoning or master plan method, thus we have studied. Okay, so the city can be divided into different zones by the planners, and we can estimate the population of different zones, and if you add all the zones, then we can get the total population for a locality or a city. Okay, here for that, so we can take the numbers based on this table here. Okay, so if the area is residential single family units, then based on the area we can take the 15 to 80% per hectare. Okay, so if there are residents with multiple family units like commercial like apartments and multiple housing units, then we can take the person per hectares in the range of 80 to 250. Okay, so if there is an apartments which houses many housing complexes, so of more than 20-50 floors, so then it can be in the range of 250 to 2500. If it is in commercial area, so then the person per hectare will be in the range of 40 to 75. If it is an industrial area, then the person per hectare will be in the range of 15 to 40. Okay, so based on the area also we can take the numbers. Then ratio and correlation method. So this is the another method. Here the population growth of a small town or city is related with growth of big cities or state or a country. Okay, so based on the ratios of one city to another city or a nation, we establish or we predict the population. That is called as ratio and correlation method. That means, so based on the ratios we will correlate one city to another city. Okay, so ratio of local to the national or state population is worked out in the last 2 to 4 decades. Okay, and these ratios may be used to predict the population. So this method takes into account national and regional factors affecting the population growth. So that means, so because since we are doing a correlation between a local level and state level or national level, so it gives the correlation between the population growth ratios and changes between the town in consideration along with the national and state population. Okay, so growth composition analysis method. So here, so this method is given by Pn is equal to P plus natural increase plus migration. So natural increase is given by T is equal to Ib into P minus Id into P. Okay, so this takes into account the birth, death and also migration. So this method involves the birth, death and migration. So here T is the design forecast period, P is the present population, IB is equal to average birth rate per year and ID is equal to average death rate per year. Okay, so here you can see the death rate is subtracted from the birth rate to get the natural increase in the population, and to that the migration is added, and to that the present population is added, and this is the method which takes care of both death, birth, death and also migration. This method is called as growth composition analysis method of population prediction. Okay, so considering all this method, so it is we have to do a careful planning for the prediction of the population. So even though we do take care of all these things like birth, deaths, etc., then most of the times whatever we predict, it can't be true always. Okay, so like you might have seen certain people doing prediction studies based on regarding your life, regarding your marriage, then regarding your future, and most of the prediction, it can't be true always. Okay, so because we cannot actually predict what is going to happen in future, so it requires careful idea and understanding of appropriate prediction considering the many factors into account. See, nowadays you can see especially during this pandemic, the population is migrating and many people are dying and people are losing their jobs. There are a lot of economical disturbances throughout the globe. So under these circumstances, it is very difficult to exactly predict the population, and also it is a it requires the careful understanding of the people migration, the population, then the number of births, deaths and all to predict the exact population. So based on our need and requirement, so we can use any one of the method for exact population prediction, and we have to work out the population data for the future period for designing the water supply schemes. Then there will be some numerical problems based on this method, so we shall be taking up in the coming classes. So once you solve one or two examples, then you will come to know how these population prediction methods are applied for estimating the future population. And also from your examination point of view and also for your internal assessments, so there will be numerical problems asked on the various methods which we have discussed in this session. Okay, in most of the times in the past previous question papers, I have seen that there will be numerical problems based on the arithmetic increase method, geometrical increase method, then incremental increase method, and sometimes the logistic curve method. Okay, so this can be asked, so you try to we shall discuss and we'll try to solve one or two example, so that you will come to know how the population can be predicted. And like so far we have studied what is demand and what are different types of water demands, and what is meant by peak demand, what are average demand, and what different methods of population prediction. Okay, so once if you know all this data, then the next step is to find out the design the water supply scheme based on the predicted population data. Okay, so let us end this session. So we have discussed different population prediction methods in today's session. Okay, so we shall meet up in the next class.